Hello! You are listening to Treehouse Chat. This is a weekly podcast. Well, not every week. We kind of been hitting some hard times, but we're working on it, and we're mostly every week we're coming at you with a different randomly generated word, and we bring some research and talk about it, discuss ideas, have some conversation. So I am Trenton. I study microbiology.
I'm Joseph. I'm studying English and philosophy.
I'm Connor. I study cooking and make music.
My name's Kevin, and I'm a business and marketing student.
All right. And we are up here in a treehouse.
Treehouse, yellow treehouse.
Making this podcast for your delight. So this week's word, guide.
Guide.
It's a good one. I like this one a lot.
I was, yeah.
I had lots of ideas, and it was hard for me to single one out. But I think, Joe, how did you take this one?
Well, I had a few ideas, but I hadn't begun my research at all yet when my brother's girlfriend told me a little story, and I thought it was kind of funny. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'd share it with you, do some more research on it, and tell you that. Right. So, S.A. Andre and his Arctic balloon expedition.
S.A.?
Yes. Those are his initials.
Okay.
I actually never did find out what they stood for.
And his Arctic expedition?
A balloon.
His Arctic balloon expedition.
Like a hot air balloon in the Arctic?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he was looking for balloons in the Arctic.
Oh, no.
I'm just hunting balloons in the Arctic, man. You see them floating there.
Day 400. I still have yet to see a balloon. I'm beginning to think there are none.
Well,
what's SA up to?
So in 1893, he got his first balloon, and he was the first Swedish balloonist.
Wow.
And it was kind of in the race to get to the North Pole and all of that during all this time,
So they were racing
that's just what they were doing. Different countries are trying to get there first. And
in hot air balloons specifically?
No.
Oh,
no.
Just kidding. No. Okay. So he's got a bright idea.
How does that idea sound to you?
Well,
does that sound like
what year did you say this was?
It sounds cold.
1893.
1893. It seems like in 1893, if you're trying to travel from Sweden to the North Pole, it's going to be a lot of water. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, if you're not a sailor, then some sort of flight might make more sense.
The hot air balloon fire might keep you warm.
I was thinking about that, but
yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but it makes sense if you're trying to travel. It's going to be really cold.
I mean, how big is this thing?
It was pretty big.
Really?
Isn't it windy in the Arctic too? Wouldn't you get your balloon be getting
If that thing
blown?
pops, you're just dead.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. As soon as I heard about that, I was like, I mean, if anything happens while you're over the sea,
yeah,
you're done.
Or even in the Arctic. I mean, what's he gonna do?
There's no balloon repairman in the Arctic Circle.
This man is Carl Fredricksen taking his house balloons up to the fucking falls.
Is Carl Fredricksen the guy from Up?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's obvious. Okay. Well, so his first weather balloon, the Svea.
The what?
That correctly? Svea.
Spell?
Svea.
Svea.
Yeah.
So anyhow, his first expedition, at least his first attempt at one.
It doesn't sound good.
There was some westerly winds, and every time he tried, it would just kind of carry him uncontrollably out to the Baltic Sea and drag his basket all along the surface of the water and smash it into rocks.
Oh my!
Wait, this guy's just on the ride, like holy shit!
Yeah,
yeah, that was pretty much what I thought would happen.
What happened? Yeah. He already doesn't have a good history with these things.
So see you later to that balloon.
Yeah, and then in I believe 97, he decides to take a voyage to either Russia or Canada from the island Svalbard.
Okay.
Svalbard.
Sounds like Skyrim.
It does. And hopefully to pass straight over the North Pole.
Okay.
That's what he wanted to do.
Passing over, as in, like, is he trying to land there, Joe, and just quote unquote discover it, or just kind of be the first to see it?
I think just he wanted to photograph it.
Oh, okay.
Kind of
Gotcha.
navigate it and map it.
Oh, okay.
You'd think he would try something. I mean, his attempts have not been that successful.
Oh, I know.
You think he would go for maybe just like not over water or try something?
I know. Okay, just wait.
He's all out.
This dude's nuts.
Okay.
So they were getting ready, and he just ignored every sign of danger and just risk that could come on. And
Smart guy.
he had one of his balloons delivered straight from the manufacturer to the test site, and it was never tested. The manufacturing site.
I see.
And it just leaked a whole bunch and blah blah blah, and he just didn't care.
So he
Duct tape.
realized that.
It's like, I'm doing it anyway.
So he
Duct
realized.
tape
Did
it.
he like then test it once he got it?
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
before
like,
he
they
went
saw
on his
how
voyage.
much hydrogen it would release,
Jeez.
and he was
Okay.
just like, doesn't matter.
Okay, good. I
It's
thought he
fine.
I thought he got this manufacturer, fired it up, and left that day, and like didn't
No,
test this
he
thing.
was just like,
Nah,
no,
it doesn't
this thing's
matter.
fine.
We only
It's
need
good.
to go over the North Pole.
It's okay. Yeah.
Little league.
Uncharted territory.
Yeah. Well, so on July 11th, there was a steady wind from the southeast, and it totally dismantled the top of the plank hanger where they had the balloon.
Oh man.
And he was like, all right, it's time to take off. Let's go.
That's a good omen.
Yep, with those winds, they take off, and they're pretty low over the water as they start. And he has the system of drag ropes to kind of steer.
Yeah.
So he basically dangles these thick, heavy ropes in the water, and
Oh.
the friction kind of...
Okay.
So he's not flying hundreds of feet in the
He's
air.
hovering.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
If
cool.
that basket though like clips the water, it clips a wave, won't he just?
It's happened to him before.
Yeah.
This man does
This,
not care.
do they
Kevin.
have like this is '97?
Kevin, this man does not care.
Does he have like rescue teams or is he
Dude,
just out there
yeah,
saving?
1897.
Oh, this is 1897.
That's why he's in a hot air balloon, Kev.
He's jumping aboard and he's dragging ropes in
Yeah.
water and he's doing it.
This guy has no regard for his own
Oh,
life.
yeah.
No, man, he just wants to be a discoverer.
Well, so he's using those, and they're pretty low over the water, and it was too much friction. And so it was dragging them close to the water, and they were, so they had to throw the rope off. They just started-
Oh, so he just ditched his steering system?
Yeah, okay, so
All right, we're going with the
right.
gods on this one.
Fuck it.
he threw over 530 kilograms.
Oh, my word.
That's almost 1,200 pounds of rope.
Yeah.
Dude must be
Um,
ripped.
And,
Yeah, really.
Not at one time, Kevin.
yeah.
Just lifts 1,200 pounds of rope and.
And also 210 kilograms of sand. that they had.
Damn.
I'm not entirely
Isn't
sure
the
why.
sand what like
Yeah, yeah.
helps keep
So,
you balanced?
How much did he
Yeah.
start with then?
Well, see, I'm not exactly certain, but they lost 1,700 pounds of
Yikes.
like,
That's what I'm
essential
saying.
Is it just him?
weight. No, he had two other dudes.
Right, and so
Okay.
that sounds
Well,
like a
then
lot,
it's
but I
just-
know
yeah.
that there's a lot of weight like that they prepare with. But at the same time,
Yeah.
it can't be like that much. Like 1,700 pounds in a basket floating.
Yeah, and it was a
I don't know what's
pretty
left
big
in there.
basket.
Yeah, yeah.
Food. I
Right.
mean, I'm sure they have a lot of food weight.
Well, they had storage like above the balloon ring, whatever
That
the
sounds
balloon ring
ballsy.
is.
Is
Like
that
a
the
like
thing
a
that holds the
like a
torch?
luggage rack.
Probably that's probably like right up,
Yeah.
inside the balloon.
Nothing flammable.
Well, they had so much stuff up there.
It's really.
Oh, that's on the next page, but so yeah, they lost all that weight immediately. Like that's how it started in the first few minutes.
Okay, slim fast.
So just terrible start, but they're going. It's too late. They're already in the air. They're heading that way, so they're going. While he was in the air, the only forms of communication he had were these buoys that he could put messages in and drop in the water. That are supposed to float back to civilization.
That is effective.
and
very
some
effective.
homing pigeons.
Oh,
all right.
Okay, that's more
Okay.
effective.
That would come and go, or that he just
I think
started
they
with
would
and let
just
go.
go.
Yeah.
So he had a limited supply of pigeons as well.
So he
Four.
could talk to people.
Wow.
He had
Kind
four
of.
chosen messages that
could
he
send
couldn't really
messages
receive
through
anything.
pigeons and then also the buoys.
Okay, the buoys aren't getting anywhere.
2 buoys were
there
found,
you
and
go.
they were each released, I'm pretty sure, within the
Wow.
first hour.
I stand corrected.
So it was pretty obvious, though. Everyone was watching them take off, and then in the first hour, they were released.
Oh.
So, I mean,
Hey,
it's pretty likely they're
Bird,
I know
that's-
you can still see me, but I'm doing great.
Hey, miss
he
you
was pretty
guys.
much just giving directions at that point, like which way they're going, their altitude, stuff like that.
Interesting.
Lost
So-
1,700 pounds. No idea where we are now.
We're lost.
Mayday, mayday.
Might send another message soon.
I think I
One
see
hour.
Rudolph flying through the sky.
Yeah. Well, so only two buoys. He may have had 6 of those.
Okay. So he left with 10 total messages
Yes.
possible. That's just not smart.
Yeah. Okay. Well, only 1 pigeon was ever
Wow.
found. It
Aw.
never made it home.
The saddest.
It landed somewhere and immediately got shot.
Why are people shooting pigeons?
And then somebody found the message, and on it
Well, whoops.
was just kind of more information about their status, not anything too interesting. And this is the 3rd message sent by pigeon.
Okay.
So we know he used them.
It'd
But
be so funny if he
Sophisticated
did.
in this time. They can write their own messages and just carry them around.
Dude, that'd be hilarious if he just shot the message or something. He just like saw a bunch of like shredded paper. Or
Oh,
just
no.
blood-soaked paper.
Oh, man.
Wonder
Wait,
if
you
this
said
is
the
That's
thing-
probably what happened to the rest of them.
Joe,
Yeah.
Joe, did you say the thing landed though?
Yeah, it landed somewhere.
Okay, so it was just like walking
Once it
around,
was-
and the dude just picked it off. It's not like he like shot it out. Yeah, man, this guy just saw. Well, he saw a pigeon with a little note on it. Just shot it.
Maybe he
Domed it.
saw the note and was like, "Ooh,
That's a
I
su-
gotta catch this thing."
Yeah, this could be
Suspicious
super
pigeon.
important. He does the
Yeah.
ultra snipe to dodge
Just-
the note.
Doof. Yeah, pops
I'm
him
sure
out
that's
of
what
the-
happened.
So, yeah. Who's that?
So not
And
too
then-
successful. 3 for 10.
Yeah.
3 out of 10 messages made at home.
And then we know from his diary that pretty soon. Okay, so they were only in the air for 2 days.
Okay.
The balloon.
That's still 2 days in the air.
It was out of equilibrium, sailing way too high. So it was losing hydrogen too fast.
Gracious.
And then kept almost getting close to the ice when they try and calm it down. So they were just, they couldn't figure
They
it out.
would like reduce the
Joe-
flame to take it
Yeah.
down.
Joe, I've got a question for you. When, because I'm not too educated on it, when did they start like using hot air balloons as a viable and reliable means of travel?
That's a good question.
It doesn't sound like.
I'm not sure.
I was gonna
anywhere
say-
near
Not
this
too
time.
long. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I hope it's not too far before then, and that this is kind of a new technology that they're still kind of getting to know. 'Cause otherwise, this man
It's
just like
pretty
is
big.
not meant to be in a balloon. Like,
Oh, not at all.
And this
I mean,
man's got drive though. He's got
yeah.
drive.
So if it
and
sounds
that's
like it's
where
a
it
new
counts.
technology that he's given a try, kudos
I
to
mean-
him for giving it a go and trying to be
He's
a.
fearless.
There's
I mean-
established manufacturer and testing sites.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been around. I mean, it's kind of just sounds dangerous in
Like
general.
they're starting to
Oh,
look for
yeah.
commercial air balloon travel.
Commercializing.
Well, by the time it crashed, they had already thrown over more sand and some of the payload.
Oh,
Just
crap.
What
launch
was
it
the
over
payload?
there. Just their food, some clothes.
They're just like we can't hold this. Everyone get naked.
The
We need
lightest-
to lose weight.
Just little things that they can
I
do
would not
without,
trust these people with any sort of payload. The second they get to sea, they throw away their
Oh,
entire steering system.
Okay.
They launch the balloon when the roof blows off. That's a good sign.
Yeah, right? That's just... Okay, well, so 2 days, 3.5 hours. This is supposedly how long it was in the air. And none of them had gotten any sleep, according to his diary.
Probably so scared. They're just
Yeah.
gonna
It's
die
also
at any
yeah.
moment.
Also, some I don't think we brought up there, which is kind of obvious. I was thinking, but they're flying through the Arctic Circle in a balloon, so they're moving like catching wind, also in a frozen area of the world
Yeah.
in the air. So like with the altitude, these
Yeah.
guys are probably freezing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking from the get go.
Mind
Well,
over
see, the thing is,
body.
they didn't even bring that warm of clothes. Because
Yeah.
it was relatively warm in the hot air balloon.
Well, I think it's been established.
But once it crashed,
They're obviously
Oh.
geniuses.
they didn't have the adequate clothes to be
Ugh.
through all of that stuff.
Oh no.
But they, they held out for a while. So the Eagle was a hot air balloon. That
Okay.
was its
Eagle.
name, and went down after 2 days. So in that balloon ring, they had equipment like guns, snowshoes, sleds, skis, tents, a small boat, which was a little bundle of sticks.
They had to build their own
Wait,
boat.
to assemble,
One more time, I
and
think they asked, how big is this basket?
that's what I'm saying. I don't quite
It's like
know
Mary
how to
Poppins
explain
bag.
it.
You can just kind of put whatever you need in
All right,
it.
all right.
Food for
Yeah,
they
a place enough for 3 guys to potentially lay down.
It sounds like
Yeah.
a small room.
they
like-
pr-
Probably about
I
the size
know.
of the treehouse.
Yeah, there you go. That's
But
a good...
it wasn't. There was a picture of it, and it was a little smaller than that.
Yikes.
Right.
Okay, well, keep going. Yeah, you were saying they were packing stuff in there?
Well, no, so that's what they had.
Uh-huh.
So that's what they had with them once they crashed. And they spent a week at the campsite afterwards trying to figure out where to go, how much of their crap to bring.
Yeah. So they crashed in at the North Pole,
No, they were not exactly sure where they crashed.
past it, or before it.
Before.
Before.
Okay, yeah,
2
I'd
days
be very
from Sweden,
surprised.
yeah.
They expected the expedition to be 30 days, so they were
Oh
probably
my
going to be
goodness.
over the North Pole around 15.
They made it 2.5
Yeah.
days.
They
Not
barely
even.
made it.
They made it 1 hour before casting
Yeah.
outside all the essentials.
Well, so the North Pole was not even close. But there were 2 depots of food and ammunition that people had put up in case of emergency, so they were going to try and head to those.
Okay.
He miscalculated and thought that they were an equal distance, so they chose the bigger one, which was actually a little farther away. And so once they figure out all the crap that they bring, the 2 sleds that they have are just the guy Andre made them. He
Right.
designed them, and
He just sounds like a genius, so these
Oh,
sleds
he-
are going to be great.
it is a genius. No, they were terribly impractical for the terrain.
Oh,
They did not
I'm
move
shocked.
well at all.
I'm so shocked.
They loaded up 440 pounds of stuff on each of the sleds. That's how much of the stuff that they carried with them.
Mm-hmm.
They broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Did,
they had to,
did he design his own skis too?
probably. I mean, most of the stuff he did. There was one thing he didn't that did a good job for him.
The one thing he didn't design.
It was the little boat. We'll get to that.
The
Yeah.
bundle of twigs?
Yes.
What a hero.
Right?
Who
It was
designed that?
I don't know. It just said not designed by Andre.
Wow.
The
was
one
just
thing he
letting us
doesn't
know.
design saves
Yes.
their lives.
So they had to get rid of all kinds of excess food, which a lot of the food that they had was just water and crates of champagne and beer donated by sponsors.
You don't need nutrition. You
Right?
just need alcohol
Yeah.
to get through
Yeah.
the cold.
I'm not surprised that they didn't dump that.
Um,
They would rather dump the steering system and
No,
the
no.
payload before the
Well, yeah,
beer.
you can still have a good time.
Right?
We need this.
We should go out having a good time. Well, so they had to start hunting for food, plus with the stuff they had. And they ate walruses, polar bears, mostly.
These dudes are hunting polar
Oh
bears.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
they had the guns, and there's pictures of them. One of the guys had a camera. There's pictures of standing around dead polar bear. And
Man.
they liked the young ones,
And were they
the
were they
young-
making fires and cooking it?
needy ones. Yeah, I
Yes, they're
think so.
outdoorsmen. Yeah.
But they didn't cook it very well, and
Oh, gosh.
supposedly they may have gotten. I won't get to that.
Is hunting walruses, isn't that technically illegal, or was it not illegal at this time?
Probably at
It
that
is
time.
now, it
Yeah.
wasn't
At
then.
that time, no,
Okay.
it was probably
Yeah.
survival.
At that time, everything. You
It
can
was
kill
a
whatever you
popular
wanted,
place
dude.
to go hunting for walruses.
Okay, so it wasn't a big problem yet.
No, yeah,
Eat that blubber.
Eat that
yeah,
blood.
They were down for that.
I wonder if they kept the tusks. Make a little money.
Huh? Perhaps.
Probably did.
Perhaps.
Polar bear felt. They could come back with some cash.
Too bad their sleds don't work to carry anything.
Yeah, they're probably idiots, so they're just gonna lose them.
Well, so they're heading out, and they expect it to be about a 6 to 7 week march to the first depot. But they get to ridges of ice that are just way too high, and they can't pass them. So that depot was not an option anymore.
Oh god.
So they head to the other one.
Wow.
Yeah, and at that point, it was expected to take pretty much the same time.
Okay. Well, that one's not their fault, honestly. I mean, like, they couldn't predict that.
Yeah. But that was still harder than hell. And sometimes they'd have to be crawling on all fours to be moving through all the stuff, dragging these sleds with them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But eventually they got on their little boat that was not designed by Andre, and it carried them pretty well. So the boat
Crossed a
just
big
helped them out.
channel of water.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But then
This sounds like an awesome adventure,
It
honestly.
would
I
be
mean,
a
like,
cool adventure.
yeah.
probably
Yeah.
would be. I mean, they probably almost died, but
His whole diary is super optimistic, and he's talking about like paradise when he sees large ice flows with pools of sweet drinking water here and there.
Oh, mirages.
That tastes amazing.
Yeah, he's got a good
Yeah.
attitude about it. I
And
mean,
especially like if you're in that situation, and you are chilling, cruising down a little glacier
yeah,
river
with your homies,
Mhm.
wearing a polar bear skin.
Yeah, he's really staying positive.
Oh
about it.
yeah, they'd stay warm with
It was
those.
a little Hugh Glass kind of.
Ooh.
Probably ditched the skin because they were like, oh, we don't need it.
yeah.
It's fine.
This is useless.
Probably.
We still need the sleds though.
But September 12th, they resigned themselves to wintering on an ice camp on just a large ice floe
Oh.
floating out in the water.
Oh,
They're just like, we're gonna set up here for a while.
Yeah.
Oh
They-
no.
But hold on, they let it took them, just take the ice where it would.
wait, do you know how long they were on this?
I think so. That was, let's see, September 12th that they started. And October 12th
Oh my
is
goodness.
when they had to get off of there.
That isn't it.
Or October 2nd.
Oh.
Still.
Yeah, not 12th, 2nd.
That's
A
impressive.
few
Well,
weeks
3
just
weeks, though,
chilling
yeah.
on it.
Yeah. So they were cruising towards Kvitoya, if I'm saying that right, which I believe is where he's from.
Still Swedish.
Yeah,
Swedish city?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the wind was getting him there, and he was, like, the wind might bring us home.
Yeah.
So
He was Huck Finn, man. He was taking his raft.
Oh,
Hugh
yeah.
Glass
His
and
raft
Huck
was
Finn
adventure.
and just
Well,
Yeah.
his adventure, man.
He's
The
a
best
combination of classic adventure stories.
on their ice floe, they built a home out of ice reinforced with water. Apparently, there's this technique.
Wow.
So they built themselves a home on this ice floe, just cruising.
I'm starting to get a second opinion on these guys. I mean, they're kind of turning around.
Yeah, a little bit. And see, yeah, this just sucks.
Oh.
October 2nd,
Okay, here it comes.
the floe began to crack and break
Oh.
directly through their house.
No, not the flow.
Just right through where they were living.
Wait, do you know how they built their? Did they like dig down in the ice and
I think they probably gathered it from the sides and,
just kind of built it?
yeah.
And then poured water on it to freeze and seal it, maybe with like an
Yeah.
ice.
That's dope.
That is cool.
Outdoorsman.
It's a shame, man. I mean, all good things must come to an end.
Yeah.
Move on.
So they tried to get back off onto an island, which took a couple of days transferring everything over there.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised the flow didn't get away.
Yeah.
It's probably slow. Probably slow as hell.
That's probably true.
Still, 450 pounds on each sled. That's a lot of materials to transfer.
Oh yeah.
At least 10 trips.
And still, in his diary, morale remains good.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
good guy.
Doing
That's probably because
great.
they're still drinking.
He's a
every
good
day.
team captain. He's keeping the spirits
Yeah.
up, man.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
got their beer.
They've
They
got
got
beer
their
and
champagne.
salt water. They're
Yeah.
having a great time.
And then
They're basically on a float trip now. They're just beering down the river.
Beatrice in his diary ends with such comrades, one should be able to manage under, I may say, any circumstance.
Oh,
no.
She's
Same-
a sweetheart.
Same with you guys.
I'm afraid what you're about to say next.
Yeah, it's inferred from all of the things that they were dead within a few days of moving onto the island from the ice floe.
Oh,
Damn
they
it.
should've stayed.
Essay.
Yep, it was. Let's see. Yeah, so 33 years went by and no one knew what happened to him.
Dang.
Everyone had been wondering what had happened to these guys because it was a big deal and everyone like watched them go. There was a huge ceremony for them taking off. So 33 years go by and there's all kinds of legends and myths that people make up about it. And then they discover the last camp that they had created. And they discover at first 2 skeletons, Andres and Strindberg's is one of the other
Strindberg.
members. And then the other guy is
Wait, that's not Swedish.
Frankel.
No, Strindberg was.
Franco.
Franco.
That's probably it.
Strindberg and Franco.
Yep. So journals and 2 skeletons that were them. And then photographs. They found the guy's camera and all his pictures.
That's awesome.
Did they find Essay's body?
Yes.
Yeah.
They find it later. They went looking for it and they found it with additional artifacts and
Good stuff.
they had that's where
Yeah,
they
'cause they
found
had
the
his
photographs.
diary.
Yeah. They
Wait,
found
so
the photographs
Essay
with
had the
him.
camera?
No.
No, he was away from camp, yeah?
Essay is Andre.
Yeah.
He was with Strindberg.
Oh, at the beginning.
Yes.
And they found his diary then, and then the other
Yeah.
guy that they found on his own had the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes
That's
sense.
so cool.
But it
33
was-
years and they could recover that film?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
In that. So
Um,
by now we're in the 1900s, right? Because it was 1897.
1930.
Yeah, 1930. Dang, that's cool.
So, and this is what I don't get. The bodies were recovered and then brought back and just cremated without any further examination. They just tossed them in the fire.
These guys were
Yeah.
dumbasses. They
Like,
should
ah,
have
they've
done
been
it.
cold for a while. Let's
Chuck 'em.
warm them up.
Don't you think we should figure out who they were? Chuck them.
Well, there's a lot of speculation about how he died, and people want to figure it out. Some think that it was from a parasite from eating half-cooked meat.
Gosh.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
It was reported in their diary that they had diarrhea.
Wow. Yeah.
They had just, they weren't doing well.
Speaking
down there.
from the culinary side, that's about right.
Yeah.
Food poisoning wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
You gotta be
Yeah,
extra careful with your farts there, because you shit your pants in the cold. I don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to
Oh, geez.
literally freeze your ass off.
So yeah, the most common theory about how they died was probably from
Oh.
some disease.
dang.
Damn.
Unfortunate.
Not
Wow.
very hardcore.
That was a
That's
good adventure.
The
But hey-
legend of S.A. Andre and
Oh,
his
S.A. Andre.
balloon, his Arctic balloon expedition.
He was dumb.
Crazy.
Yeah, he was up and down.
He was dumb, but kind of smart. But honestly, in the end, I'm not surprised they didn't make it home.
Trent, you're
Yeah, see, it was a recipe for disaster.
yeah, you're a nature-minded
But-
person. Would you say he was not much of a traveler, but a great outdoorsman and adventurer?
He's not much of a smart guy. He shouldn't be planning balloon adventures, but maybe he could survive in the forest.
He's a
couple
wilderness
weeks.
guy, but he's not.
He
much
should
of
be
a-
one of the other 2 people on the balloon
Yeah.
adventure and not the lead.
not in charge of it.
Yes.
He should not be the guy.
Oh.
He's a good crew member.
He's a good crew member.
Okay.
Speaking of, and this is also a really sad part, Strindberg and Andre.
Oh.
Andre. They were both old dudes, old professors and blah blah. blah. But Franco was a young kid. I mean, he was a pretty young
Oh.
dude, and he died first.
Oh.
And so they buried him somewhere. That's why he was found elsewhere.
Oh,
they buried him close to the
okay.
mountain.
Buried him with his camera.
With Strindberg's photos, yeah.
That's-
It wasn't his camera, actually.
Okay.
It was Strindberg's, one of the old dude's photos. But
Okay, and they buried him with his photos. That's cool.
And a little tin
Damn.
box.
Little ceremony.
Take these.
Yeah. All right.
Take
So
these with you, man. That's a good.
on that note,
That's outstanding.
Had
That was a
they had
saga.
a bit more guidance,
Oh.
they may have made it home.
I agree with that.
So,
Good. Good return to that word.
so that, yeah.
A bit better guidance too than us.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, what do you have for us today?
Guide us
Well,
forward.
All right. When I heard guide, it's kind of like around in the same realm as our little essay balloon adventurer guy. But I thought of guide, and I started thinking about kind of like guided trips, guided travels, and I was like, some cool adventures come out of that. And then I started thinking about survival, and just like instantly popped in my head was like survival stories. So that's what I brought today, is a couple survival stories I read about that were pretty cool.
Okay.
Now this first one, I don't know what the title was, but I just call it Bear Attack. So,
Sounds good already.
kick things off, we have 2 people involved here. We've got a dad and his 18-year-old daughter. Both of them are like pretty fit. The dad runs marathons and the daughter's like a dancer getting ready to go to college. Like, we're very athletic. Both are like pretty good journeying people. And so they go on a backpack trip. And one morning they wake up and they're just face to face with a mama bear and cubs. Like, they kind of talk a little bit, they turn, and there's just a mama bear sitting there, probably about like 15 feet away, just like staring at him, and has two cubs next to him. And the dad just kind of sits there and is just like, oh shit. And like, his first thing's to run, takes 2 steps backwards, and the bear charges.
Yeah, wait, what are you not, aren't you not supposed to run?
You're not supposed to run. You want to make yourself as big as possible. But the other thing is, in the scenario that's running through his head is, this mom has 2 cubs, and if you look like a threat, the bear is going to kill you. So the dad's like, what do I do? What do I do? And lo and behold, mama bear attacks. So the dad's first instinct is to protect the daughter. So he puts himself in front of her, and the bear hits him first and like grabs his backpack. And when a bear attacks, it doesn't just kind of like bite and hang on. It multiply bites you. So it bites him, like shakes him around, bites him again, like bites him in the arm and everything like that. And
Hugh glasses you. There's multiple Hugh glasses.
So while when the bear attacks the dad, the daughter at this point, the bear spray gets like launched out of his backpack. So the daughter picks it up, and while this whole scrambles thing going, she tries to like pull the safety pin or something, but I guess it got like broken or jammed into it when it flew out.
Oh.
But she didn't know that at the time, so she's trying to get this to work, and the dad ends up like flying off, like falling about 20 feet down the hill.
Oh, jeez.
And then the bear turns on the daughter, and I guess when it does this, the shock of just the bear spray not working and a big-ass bear charging her, she passes out and falls 50 feet down the hill.
Oh, wow.
And it broke her back, and it wasn't like a bad break, but it definitely broke her back, and she was unconscious and hit her head.
Wow, I think I would pass out too.
So, away from that, bear kept attacking dad, and then he fell, like, down the 20-foot hill. 20 feet down the hill.
The bear chased the dad down the hill?
Yeah, so he falls down, and he's down there, the daughter's down about 50 feet, and the dad then yells for his daughter to, like, make sure she's okay.
And she was unconscious, right?
Bear hears that, comes back for round 2. So this bear comes back in, starts attacking him again, and again he rips himself free, breaks free, and falls 30 more feet down this hill.
So 10 feet past daughter?
Yeah, so about 10 feet past daughter. But they're on, like, different sides, still probably about 30 feet apart from each other.
Okay.
So then, falls about 30 more feet. Bear comes, sprinting back down the hill towards him and wants to just keep going after him. So the dad's, bleeding, broken bones, absolutely just jacked up at this point. But adrenaline's going. He's survival mode. And so the bear comes back again, and this time it starts clawing and gnawing at the guy's head.
Oh,
gosh. And so the turning point came when the dad felt a tooth go in the bottom of his skull where the nape of the neck is, and instantly he just starts feeling like a lot of pressure back there, and he's like, as long as the bear's on me, it's not by my daughter, which is good, but I'm about to die if I don't do something.
Yeah, I can't believe he hasn't passed out yet.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm about to pass out.
Joking that handle.
Oh man, I'm in that same boat. My stomach's turning over.
So then after he feels that, the bear just smacks him really hard, just gives him a good old whop. And the dad decides, I need to escape or it'll kill me right now. So he flings himself back down the hill and goes 20 more feet down the hill.
Wow.
And so he wound up on the edge of a cliff at this point with a couple 100-foot drop behind him. So he's got nowhere to go. He's just kind of sitting there. And then he looks up and the bear stops, looks at him, then walks away.
Ooh.
Right? So the dad's laying there, just beaten up, all right, the bear's gone. And suddenly his blood just turns cold because he hears his daughter scream.
Oh, gosh.
And so the bear ended up going back for the daughter at this point.
Wow.
And she played dead the whole time, and the bear bit her face, kind of where her cheek is, and then also bit her shoulder, but then she didn't flinch, she didn't move, she just played dead the whole time, and the bear stopped and then walked away and went back to its cubs.
Man, that's a malicious bear.
Oh, Jesus.
It was it went back.
Yeah, it went back. So at that point, once the bear's finally gone, the daughter and the dad kind of yell for each other, and they can't get to each other because both of them are just so messed up. They can't meet up and get to each other. And actually, the dad doesn't see his daughter again for a full week until he's out of surgery.
Wow. Now, where is the wife?
They weren't there. It
Oh.
said that the wife would kind of come on him for tenor hikes and stuff like that, so like 10-mile hikes.
Yeah.
But the daughter and him would always do a little more, and this is just one of those trips where just they were out there.
Man.
But they, when the rescuers found him, she wasn't that badly hurt. She had like 2 fractures in her back, but they were like stable ones, so it wasn't that bad.
So playing dead was the right call.
Mm-hmm. But the dad needed surgery, and like he said when he saw pictures of him, he was just like covered in blood. His skull was showing. Like this dad was messed up big time. And he ended up needing like 7 hours of surgery, and like I could name all the bone breaks and injuries he had, but there's actually too many. Because when I was looking at the list, it was like half a page of just bone fractures.
I think that's a good call for Joe's sake.
Lacerations.
He looks a little queasy.
I see Joe shaking a little.
So that's the bear attack story.
But so they both lived.
They both lived.
That is incredible.
Lesson be told, mama bear and her cubs,
Holy shit.
you're kind of 50-50 shot what you should do.
You're pretty just screwed.
You're pretty just screwed.
I mean, I'm blaming it on the bear spray. The daughter was right. Like, she had the right call.
Can you imagine just like bear spray not working and watching a 250-pound animal just charge you?
Man.
Ooh.
I can't imagine, though.
Spooky. So, moving on from that, our next story is a much smaller kind of survival thing.
A little less gruesome, or?
A little less gruesome.
Oh.
This is a snake bite. This is a snake bite, so not that bad. So Franklin Canyon Park, which is a 605-acre green space that's tucked between LA and Santa Monica Mountains, which we were in that area for spring break last year.
Yeah.
There's this woman, she's 50 years old, and after work, every day she likes to just do a hike through this area.
Wow.
And like she's pretty fit, she's 5'4", and she's 100 pounds. So she's she's a little woman. She's
a little adventurer.
Active, yeah. Anyway, she goes on this hike pretty, like, almost immediately into it. She gets bit twice by, like, a rattlesnake, a viper.
Oh,
and she heard the rattling, but she didn't hear the rattling until after the fangs had already sinked into her leg. Yeah, I guess she was just that close to it.
Probably
dead. Maybe. But the snake that bit her actually injected her with a standard issue hemotoxin, like all kind of vipers and rattlesnakes have. But then this specific type of snake, which was never identified, had a rare and more powerful neurotoxin, which actually shuts off the communication between the brain and the respiratory system.
Oh.
So, like, it makes it extra deadly because you can stop breathing so quick.
Venom is insane.
Yeah, venom is insane.
I watched this video where this guy had a petri dish of just liquid blood. He dropped 1 drop of this type of snake venom in it.
Yeah.
Within seconds, it was coagulated like jello. It looked like jello, and I was just like, "What?"
Could you imagine if that was in your body?
Like in
Like,
your
what
arm?
that would do to your body?
I
It
can't.
just turns your arm into jello.
Your entire veins
Gosh.
just turn into thick noodles.
Thick noodles, man.
Thick noodles in the mouth.
Of blood.
He's got a case of noodle veins. Oh, are they thick, doctor?
Kev.
So basically, she's screwed unless she gets help ASAP, and she can already like feel the toxins starting to incapacitate her. Her like legs are turning, as you're saying, like jello-y. Like she's shaking, her adrenaline's pumping because she knows she's in a really bad situation. But luckily, she only hiked a short distance before she got bit. So she stumbles back to the pavement and just kind of like collapses there and is yelling for help. And a couple finally like drives by, picks her up, like puts her in the back seat, takes her to a ranger who then calls an ambulance.
Wow.
Damn.
So funny enough, paramedics, they didn't realize like how bad the bite was till they had to resuscitate her in the ambulance because her lungs stopped working from the neurotoxin. So I just picture the paramedics sitting there like, "Oh, you're all right," doing the normal stuff, and suddenly she just flatlines right there, and they're just like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, just.
They couldn't predict it. I mean, like you said, it was kind of a rare type. There's a hard call. I mean, they're not just like standardly checking for that stuff. That's so scary.
Yeah. Overall, though, got her to the ER. She survived. And in total, like through the whole ordeal, like hospital later on, just getting through the whole snake bite process, took 116 vials of antivenom is how many she ended up like being injected with total before the whole ordeal was over. And it took about, I think it takes a couple months or at least a month usually to recover from venomous snake bites because your body has to recover from having those toxins in your body and such.
It doesn't take longer.
But I don't know the exact time. I just know it's actually quite a long time.
She made a full recovery?
Yeah, she made a full recovery in the end.
That's incredible.
Bet she's a lot more careful now hiking. She wasn't wearing... It said in the article about, usually she wasn't wearing, like, best hiking gear for that area because they have, like, hiking gear where it's, like, thicker pants, bigger boots just to protect against viper bites because they're so common for those snakes to be out there.
Man, where was this? Did it say?
Yeah, this was at that place, Franklin Canyon Park, between LA and Santa Monica.
Well, hell, we weren't wearing thick pants and hiking
Nah,
boots.
I was walking around in chacos and shorts.
I know. I think I was in flip-flops half the time.
Good thing we didn't get bit by those
Bit by those little coagulating
sneaky
snakes.
Okay,
Wow.
so our next man here, the legendary Ricky McGee.
Ricky.
That sounds like the fakest name. I'm
Sir,
Ricky.
what's your name? Ricky.
Ricky what, sir?
McGee?
I'm Ricky McGee.
With a question mark?
Everybody
It's
knows
funny.
me.
It's funny you mention fake name because it just kind of, when you read the story, it's kind of weird. It happens to happen to a man named Ricky McGee. So on January 24th, 2006, Ricky McGee was just cruising down an isolated road when he believed his car was hijacked by 3 Aboriginal men who then drugged and dumped his body in the middle of the outback.
Wow.
So this guy says he's cruising around, suddenly 3 Aborigines just jump him, drug him, dump him, and steal his stuff. And so he wakes up and he's just unaware and confused. And he actually wakes up to dingoes just scratching him.
Oh my god.
Just wakes up to some dingoes getting ready to eat him up. But he starts surviving on a diet of frogs and leeches and lizards and cockroaches.
Oh.
So this guy's
God.
ultimate just eating what he has to keep going.
God damn,
He's
Ricky.
surviving.
He's
He's
a hard
surviving. McGee then found a dam and was able to stay well hydrated until he was found by farmhands on April 6th. That was 70 days later. This dude's just missing, surviving 70 days. Finds that dam with the water source and just camps out. By then, he was basically like a walking skeleton and just super tan from the extreme desert
Been
sun.
living off leeches.
Frogs.
But he ended up being alive, and the interesting thing here at the end, his car and the mysterious Aboriginal men never found.
His car was never found, though?
Car was never found, Aboriginal men never found, nothing can collaborate his story. From all technical standpoint and proof they have, this dude just decided to survive 70 days later because they couldn't find any proof of it.
Well, I think since the fact that they can't find his car, that kind of corroborates a little. It shows that, I mean, something happened.
Something happened. But
So, whether it got stolen or not, he probably just accidentally crashed it and was super embarrassed. Was like, ditch the evidence, I can do this.
So this next one is about these 2 guys. One is named Joe Simpson, and the other is named Simon Yates. So in 1985, Joe Simpson and Simon Yates attempted to ascend the then unclimbed west face of the Sierra Grande in the Peruvian Andes.
Okay.
So during this endeavor, Simpson ends up breaking his leg during the ascent.
Oh.
So this puts Yates in the position to get them both down safely in frigid temperatures. One man bringing 2 people down a mountain that has never climbed before.
Okay.
So matters continued to get worse as a storm hit, making visibility difficult and the ascent even more dangerous. So he's already 1 man down, and now this massive storm hits. Badly frostbitten, and he's unsure if Simpson was alive or dead at this point. Yates found himself in a desperate situation and decides to cut the rope.
Oh.
So this desperate situation,
What a call.
turns out that the broken-legged Simpson had fallen off the cliff, and Yates had to cut the rope to avoid both men from falling.
Man, so that guy was already going down, and he's like, well, I'm not going down too.
Mm-hmm. It was like he had to, both of them could fall and most likely die, or one of them could make it. So he decided, like, in that situation, he had to cut the rope.
So Simpson's gone.
So he thinks. He doesn't know if he's gone or not at this point.
He's fallen down the mountain.
But Yates, yeah. So, well, turns out Simpson, he survives the 150-foot fall.
Man, what?
Yeah. This dude, broken leg, survives.
Probably 2 broken legs now.
Survives the 150-foot fall, and he ends up digging himself into an ice cave to ride out the storm. So this guy, broken leg, falls 150 feet,
Doesn't care.
Doesn't care, builds himself an ice cave, and rides out the storm. Afterwards, he battled 3 days without food and water, and though he was severely injured, managed to crawl back to base camp for help.
Wow.
Both men survived.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh.
I bet Yates was like, sorry, dude.
Yates was like, damn!
It's like, if I would have known we could have survived that fall, I would have come with you.
Alright. And I've got one last story here that I read, and I just thought it was, number one, it was cool because it was about World War II, but number two, just don't know how this gets done. But this guy's name is Jan Balsrud, and he's a young instrument maker who was asked to help the anti-Nazi resistance in Norway during World War II. So, like, Norway never really took a stance. They were always more of a neutral figure.
Yeah.
But in any situation, there's always rebels that want to help and do things like that. So, during his trip on board a ship in the icy Norwegian waters, German soldiers end up showering their boat with bullets and kill everyone on board except for him.
Oh my gosh. He protected himself with a tuba or something.
You just block a bullet with the tuba. Bullets go in the top, shoot out the mouthpiece.
My special talent!
So he managed to dive into the freezing water with only one boot and one sock.
Okay.
And
Odd.
minus the big toe that was shot off.
Oh, okay.
Open wound.
Couldn't fit in the tuba.
Couldn't fit in the tuba.
Toba.
So he's pursued by at least 50 Nazis.
Sent the whole army after
Well,
this
shoot.
instrument maker. This 9-toed instrument maker.
And he was able to swim to the Norwegian coast where 2 girls on the beach rescued him.
Nice.
So, not too bad coming out of that
Yeah.
wound. 2 hot, well, I don't know if they're hot girls, but if they're hot girls rescue you, kind of a hero at this point.
I know.
Wow,
It's just like,
too
I
bad.
fought the
How-
Nazis.
How far offshore were they?
I'm not sure how far offshore. He just made it to the Norwegian coast where
Okay.
2 Norway girls found him.
2 Norway girls.
So he had several Norwegian civilians secretly help him to reach safety in Sweden, but it took many attempts to finally make it. So on one of the attempts, Balsrud journeyed across the snow-capped mountains while hiding from possible Nazi attack. An avalanche caused him to fall 300 feet and left him blind and severely concussed.
Oh my goodness.
Aimlessly wandering in the snow for days, and he was plagued with hallucinations. So this dude's just... He's just... I don't even
Office
know.
rock.
Lost it,
He's just
absolutely.
all alone, wandering around, blind, just jacked up.
9 toes and all.
Needless to say, Balsrud was found and nursed back to health. So he gets saved
wow.
twice here.
Could you imagine just stumbling upon this guy? He's blind, hallucinating. Just
Are you real?
Mother! No.
Hopefully the people that helped him along the way gave him a few more clothes other than his boot and sock, though.
Yeah.
Wait, so, hold on. Is that absolutely all that he had?
When he jumped off the boat, yes. I'm assuming when he made it to the ladies, they probably gave him
Okay,
some
okay.
clothes.
Those Norway girls.
Those
Wait,
Norway
so,
girls.
like, no shirt or pants. Just one boot and one sock.
Yeah.
What he made it off the boat
When you
with.
find the Nazis,
Were
you
the
ain't got
boot-
time.
Were the boot and the sock on the same foot?
I thought the same
It does
thing.
not specify, but I can assume so.
I
I'm
like
sure
to
he probably
imagine-
shot his toe off and took that boot off and was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Okay.
I'm missing a toe, and then was
alright.
like, oh, I need to jump off. Everyone else died.
Yeah.
I'd like to imagine they were on the same foot.
I'm just so curious what that
In a
was.
perfect world, yeah.
In a perfect world.
So he got found and nursed back to health after falling from that avalanche, and he continued to try and push for the Swedish border again and again, but each time he was held back by Nazi soldiers.
Dang.
However,
Oh.
he was forced to find shelter in ice holes, where he ended up cutting off the rest of his toes to save his feet, and at one point, he attempted suicide.
Oh my gosh.
But it didn't work?
Couldn't kill himself. I guess his toes saved his feet.
Even I can't kill me.
But
Too good.
Balsrud eventually made it to safety in Sweden.
Wow.
Sans.
Falling off avalanches.
10 toes later.
Sans toes.
Well, now he has no toes. He's just walking stubs.
Walking stubs.
And still blind?
I'm wondering if the blind
Yeah.
was just like a
Temporary?
temporary blindness from hitting his head so hard.
Or like a snow blind?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm guessing it was probably that, but
Wow.
He probably had some severe
Jeez,
brain
man.
damage.
Yeah, a
from
badass
taking those
too.
hits,
Tried to
but
take his own life, yeah.
he made it.
He wrote a sweet sonnet about it and played it for those
Played it.
Norway ladies.
Those Norway girls, man.
I'd like to thank the Norway girls for putting clothes on my naked body.
So, I've got a curious, just kind of inquiry for you guys. What do you think? Do you guys think you could survive or have the drive to continue to going when you're just beaten down and at impossible odds? Do you think there comes a point, no matter like how bad you want to survive, that you just give up and just let yourself die? Or do you think most of the people's in like these stories, and especially in Joe's story, for instance, do you think like
You push on to the end.
yeah?
Yeah, I think like everyone would like to think like everyone has like two minds of I'd like to say I'd survive the whole thing, but let me be honest, I'd probably like there was something it was like if your boat crashed 5 miles offshore, would you be able to swim 5 miles or would you just give up? That kind of thing. It's like I mean everyone would like to think
There's no
They
way
could
I could
make
swim
it.
5 miles. I'd
but that's the thing is yeah, you'd be like, oh, that's easy, but then once you get out there you're like, man,
can't
maybe
know.
it's not worth it.
I've swam 1 mile before, and that 1 mile took me an hour.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, I'd like to think I'd push through that if it was some kind of outdoorsy thing. But that's what I mean. Like, coming from a culinary side, it sounds kind of weird. But like eating all these bugs and stuff, if that was the only survival method, like, I'd struggle with
That
it.
I wouldn't have a problem with. I just think
Same.
at the end of the day, if it comes to be like a physical or like you're injured and just like pushing on, I just don't think anybody could say until they're in that situation. I think unexpected people would be able to, and I think people that you think might would get overcome.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's just kind of wrapping up how I was with all my survival stuff and everything.
Good stuff.
Pretty remarkable, and I'd just like to point out that kind of one common thing with all these people that I mentioned is their persistence and their drive, and that they keep going even when they're at impossible odds. And I think that can carry on to just everyday life, no matter how shitty life gets. If you keep driving forward, there's always, if you can find a reason to keep going, it's gonna turn out okay for you in
There's
the
a
end.
will,
so.
there's a way.
When there's will, there's a way. Never give up.
Yeah.
Let your will guide you.
Be your own guide. You are your own
Yeah.
guide. You're your guide of your
Exactly.
destiny.
Let your determination guide your will.
I like that.
And with that, TShrades, you wanna pick up the torch?
Okay, Kev, I think I can do that. So, many things guide me throughout my life. I'm guided by many influences. Sometimes I'm under the influence.
Aren't we all?
And alcohol is something that has been known to guide my actions.
Alcohol tends to not let me remember the actions that I'm guided into.
Some would say alcohol is the worst guide.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Let me tell you about a time alcohol guided very many people to a very bad fate. So the year is 1875. So in the
Oh.
1800s, just
It's
like
about
Joe.
20 years before mine.
20 years before I sang. The place is Dublin, Ireland. So we've been all over the world.
Yeah.
Scouring the globe on this one. So, coming from the Illustrated London News, this is a newspaper where I got a lot of this from, and the other one was like the Irish Times or whatever. Reed's Malt House and Malone's Storehouse were adjoining buildings near the Liberties on Chamber Street in Dublin, the capital of Ireland. So this place is a pretty poor area, and it's really, everything is really close together and not really the best conditions.
Yeah.
And so a malt house is somewhere that creates malt and stores them as well, which is just a type of liquor. And then the warehouse was specifically for alcohol,
Okay.
majorly. So this was just, so much alcohol was in these two adjoining buildings. And this was June 18th. At this time, Malone's warehouse was holding 5,000 barrels of whiskey.
Ooh, gracious.
So that combined with the malt house, and it was still holding other various types of liquor as well. And that's not that uncommon.
Mhm.
This is kind of what this place has. And they're letting it store and cure in these barrels. They're letting it age.
Yeah.
So this comes from the Irish Times. About 8 p.m. on June 18th, a huge alarm was raised throughout Dublin. Well, throughout the area. I doubt it was all across Dublin. And I looked at a bunch of different places, and I couldn't find out exactly how this started, and I really wanted to know. But apparently, just somehow, a fire was started.
Oh no.
Oh.
And it just got off the hook.
It took over the whole like city and whole area.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So these barrels just start lighting up one after another, after another, after another, and these things are exploding every time they catch. The barrel just explodes, and like wooden shrapnel is flying, and it's launching just flaming liquid all over.
Yeah. Just have a warehouse full of gasoline, essentially.
Oh yeah. So it creates this flaming lava river that starts running down the street, and it's just absolutely burning everything it touches. An eyewitness said the flow measured 2 feet wide, 6 inches deep, and stretched more than 400 meters down the street.
Oh my.
So as long as a track, that's one track if you stretch out the entire oval.
And this is just molten.
6 inches deep. And
Molten
2 feet
whiskey,
wide.
yeah.
Of just
That's
molten
like
whiskey. Was it like orange, or was it on fire, or was
Well,
it?
it was whiskey, yeah.
It's just like a brown.
Mhm.
So
And
is
it
it
was
on
on
fire?
fire. Yes,
oh,
it's
okay.
on
It's not
fire.
just hot liquid.
It's very hot liquid, and it is on fire as well.
Yikes.
And everything it touches is just bursting into flames because it's kind of a poor neighborhood, so it's mostly just clumped together.
Yeah.
They said it wasn't uncommon at this time for neighborhoods like this to just have their livestock
Yeah.
just like in their backyard or in the building. And so all these animals started breaking out and just running for their lives down the streets. And they said that some pigs were caught on fire just bolting down
Oh,
the streets.
Poor piggies.
It was just absolute mayhem. So, unfortunately, very unfortunately, it started super close to the Coombe Maternity Hospital and the Carmelite Convent.
No.
So
Oh.
newly pregnant and birthing mothers and nuns
Oh no.
are right in the path of this thing.
What superhero is gonna save the day?
God? It's been credited to God. Ultimately, a very large wind blew in the opposite direction, and the entire fire didn't touch them at all.
Obviously, the Avatar.
Maybe the Avatar.
Think about an airbend blast. Just Aang sitting there.
He could just been the fire.
Aang. Is that his name? Aang?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, but he has to be secret. They
That's
can't know that he's real.
So the nuns accredit it to God. As nuns are apt to do.
Yes, certainly.
So the fire spread through multiple streets, and it even got to this street where there was a wake in progress. So everybody present at the wake had to pick up the corpse and flee.
Oh no.
I just got a free cremation out of it.
That's like a fun.
You
Go down like a legend.
know? Yeah, in a natural disaster.
Yeah, the house was completely destroyed, everything and all of their belongings.
Remember when Grandpa Ricky got burnt
Cremated.
to a crisp at his own
Ricky.
funeral?
I know, what a funeral. That's just like, if you already weren't sad enough, just lose everything at the same time.
And the whole funeral procession's on fire.
So ultimately, 13 people died.
Wow.
But not for why you might think.
Oh god.
Not a single death came from burns, flames, breathing in smoke, collapsing buildings. You want to know what all 13 were from? Alcohol poisoning.
Oh my.
Everybody started drinking the whiskey off the streets. The burning hot whiskey. The Illustrated London Times said that crowds of people assembled, took off their hats and boots to collect the whiskey which ran on the streets and drink it. They used caps, porringers, and other vessels to scoop up the liquor.
The flaming whiskey.
Yes.
These people are drinking flaming whiskey,
Oh.
running down
Bro.
the dirty ass, bacteria-infested street.
They're in a poor
In
part of
their
Ireland, man.
boots.
Yeah, it's a poor
In their
part.
boots. Hey, but I guess the fire and the alcohol kills the germs, so more power to you, but
You can't let that whiskey go to waste.
damn.
Jeez, man.
So
Were they like holding out on him, and they just weren't allowed to have whiskey, and this was like.
That's probably good stuff.
Oh, I don't know, man. Something about it, but these
Like the scene from Mad Max when they let go of the waterfall and all the water goes to the people.
It's just burning hot, flaming lava whiskey, and they're like, "Get it down! It's free!"
And they all died because they drank too much.
Yeah, 13 people died just from that.
Jeez.
So, Mr. McGrain, this is a first-hand account. He described him and his neighbor, Will. So he said William was scooping it up in his cupped hands.
Oh.
It's gotta be boiling hot. I mean,
Yeah.
this guy just loves whiskey.
Yeah.
He drank a good deal. A great deal. What I drank was out of a jug. Nearly everyone was drinking it. He suddenly fell down and became insensible. 2 men, complete strangers, had to help me bring William part of the way home, as far as Meath Street. We then met some other men, more of our neighbors, who helped bring him the rest of the way. So people are just guzzling this shit however they can, and just like so many people ended up just passing out, and 13 people died.
Damn.
Here, like, it said at the end, 8 men were carried in a comatose state to Meath Hospital, 12 to Jervis State Hospital, or Street Hospital, 3 to Stevens Hospital, and 1 young man to Mercer's Hospital. So this is such a wide range. It spread so far. There were people coming into 4 different hospitals.
What was. How can people want to drink that much? Like, I hate the taste of alcohol. Are these guys just. Does it taste good?
I'm
Is this
sure.
whiskey just like the greatest whiskey and they're just able to chug it like water? Because why not?
That's about right.
It's hard times in Dublin, man.
Hard times.
Oh,
in
they're
Dublin.
Irish. Never mind.
They've probably got a Ricky McGee over
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
who
they've
just-
probably got a Ricky McGee.
He's just
Oh,
chugging
yeah.
that special fire whiskey.
2 corn porters named Healy and McNulty.
Corn porters.
The old corn porters, man.
Excellent, man.
If those
Excellent.
don't sound like a couple of cops, too. Healy and McNulty, that sounds like the most classic
On
cop joke.
Healy and
Porters.
McNulty on the beat.
Cop porters. They were found in a lane off Cork Street, lying insensible with their boots off, which they had evidently used to collect the liquor and drink from.
They probably were cops.
They,
It says here that a corn porter is an occupation title usually referring to someone who worked at a dock. They unloaded corn.
well, there you go. But so I did read a reason why this might have happened so badly was that since they were being aged and distilled in the barrels, the whiskey was considerably. It's using this term ABV. I don't even know what that means, but it's just like
Percentage. Think of the percentage of an alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol by volume.
so it's considerably higher. So
Yeah.
it's usually distilled at 70 to 90%, and the normal is 40%.
Oh, okay. So think about this then. Yeah, comparatively, a normal whiskey you'd get is like a 40%, or like most vodkas are 40%.
Mhm.
Everclear is 95%.
This is an Everclear whiskey.
Yeah, Everclear whiskey. So that's probably why it was literally just on fire.
Yeah.
Because it probably
So
burned
flammable.
everything else out of the whiskey.
Like-
so there's just nothing there.
And people are just down in this.
Point 2, they're chugging it like
Well,
water.
so that's the thing is they probably thought it was like normal whiskey, and so they just tipped that shit back.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You take a sip of Everclear and it feels like you're drinking bleach.
But they probably didn't know, man. It was fire whiskey that burned their
Yeah.
throats.
It's like, this kind of burns. It's probably just the flames.
And then they drank like a whole gallon of it, and then they died.
I think that guy died. Ah,
There's a flame get over there.
give me that boot. Come on. Give me his boots.
That's crazy.
I can get 3 more cups out
Well,
of
that
this guy.
changes everything. It literally was gasoline.
Yeah. So, finally, the Dublin Fire Brigade arrive, and they have the captain, James Robert Ingram. He's the chief fire officer, and he's renowned for his unconventional fire strategies.
Unconventional.
It's an odd thing to be-
Unconventional.
It's an
fire.
odd thing to be well
Isn't
known
that
for as a
amazing?
firefighter.
I'm known as the weird firefighter.
Yeah, you want
guy.
that fire put out? I'll put it out, but not in the way you think I'm going to.
No, we're all gonna pee on it.
Let's throw water on it. No.
No.
Look at it straight.
There's got to be a different way.
Call it names. We can put it down emotionally. Good idea.
Fire, you ain't nothing.
That's unconventional, Captain. What do you
Alright,
think I'm known for? So, here's an example of his unconventionality. One time, there was a boat blazing in the Dublin harbor. And instead of having them pour water on it and just put it out, he just had the Navy sink it.
Okay, so let's kind of correct your statement. He is the best at making fires stop.
He puts them out one way or another, man.
That fire
little bit. We can do
won't
it with one
exist
bucket.
anymore. Let me tell you that.
One bucket should handle this. No. We gotta sink the whole thing and save the rest of the ships.
It's just an oven
You
fire.
know, like-
Sink it. Call the Navy.
We don't want to waste water.
So, that might have been, I mean, it might have been a good call because the guy, his strategies for this were good. So it makes me think there was reason enough that had to be done. This guy arrives, and he knows that throwing water on this would be a horrible idea because the whiskey would float on top of it like petrol. And it would spread the fire even further throughout the city because you would just be putting the flaming whiskey basically riding on water that would be draining throughout all over the city.
Yeah.
So that's pretty smart. I would not have thought of that. But this guy's a fire captain, so he deserves that title. So instead, he sent for his soldiers and ordered them to pull up paving stones and pour a mixture of sand and gravel on it to just smother it, basically. And he soon realized that even this wouldn't be enough. And it's because the whiskey started to seep through the sand. So what does he go for? Manure.
Oh my god.
Oh.
This clown.
Oh yeah.
I bet everyone got mad about that. Now they're putting the sand could probably filter the whiskey a little bit. People wouldn't mind, but you're putting shit on the whiskey.
Yeah. Stop putting shit on the whiskey!
Shitting on the whiskey.
We're trying to drink this! Oh yeah. Apparently heaps of it lay in depots around the city because this is horse travel time, so...
They just keep massive warehouses full of horse shit for times like these.
1873.
1875. Yeah.
Damn.
So, the horse shit depots come to the rescue.
As always.
As always. I mean, why do you think we store them in the depots?
That's horse shit.
So they were brought back to the area by the cartload and shoveled onto the streets, from where it once came, to form dams. And the burning whiskey met the damp manure and it was all soaked up. The fire began to slowly subside.
Alright.
So they put it out that way.
That is unconventional, Captain.
Very unconventional.
Shovel shit on it. That's what I've always done.
Thinking outside the box.
Captain Unconventional. Out of the 5,000 barrels of whiskey, only 61 were recovered intact. Which is honestly more than I thought.
Oh yeah.
That would make
How
it
big
very
that was?
rare. That would make it
Yeah.
a great commodity to have there.
This is the 1875
This is the flaming
fire whiskey.
yeah, the great disaster of
Do
'75.
do you know if there's any of it still around?
No, that's all I know.
Man, that would be great.
Many of the barrels disappeared suspiciously, as they probably wouldn't have pointed
I bet
out.
the whole thing was an inside job.
The whole thing's on fire! Get in there and get the whiskey!
Just an insurance ploy gone wrong and burning down half the city.
Police found 6 heavily intoxicated men rolling 3 gigantic barrels down a nearby street, and they were all either then arrested or hospitalized.
Oh, one or the other.
There was also a notable amount of canine suicides, which I thought was insane. It was reported that a dog ran through the open door of the home of William Eyre. Not the same William as before. I don't know if that guy died or not. That guy that was drinking out of his handcuffed hands. The animal was foaming at the mouth and evidently either rabid or suffering from delirium.
Or drunk.
Yeah, it appeared that he had been lapping up too much whiskey.
Oh,
The dogs are alcoholics in Ireland too.
yo,
Even the
if
dogs.
it breathes oxygen, it's an alcoholic.
If it's Irish, it's not alcoholic.
Irish, alcoholic.
The dog dashed madly
We love
around
the
house.
Irish here at the Treehouse Chat. We love Irish.
I am Irish.
We're all pretty.
Joe's
I think I'm a quarter
We're,
Irish.
we're all pretty Irish.
Joe drinks at least here.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
Trent, keep going.
The dog dashed madly around the house, knocking over furniture, attacking the homeowner. When he finally fended the dog off using an iron bar, it ran upstairs and jumped from the top floor window.
Poor dog.
Damn.
That's such a poor dog.
Yep. quote, terminated its existence in the road below.
It was just like he was aiming for the bushes, like in 21 Jump Street.
Aim for the bushes. The total damage cost what would today be $7 million US.
Oh.
A little under 6.8. And in 2014, a new blend of craft whiskey was launched called Flaming Pig, named after the squeals of fleeing pigs that first alerted the residents to the fire.
Ooh.
Wow.
So,
I like that.
Well, now I want to find out if there is still some of this around.
I would doubt it.
Squealing?
Either that original batch or even just like the company that still makes it, and it's kind of just like a, hey, like the Flaming Pig batch you were saying.
Squealing pig whiskey, right?
I tried to look up Malone's Storehouse and the Reed's Malthouse, and the only thing that came up was these stories. So I there wasn't like a website or a business or a Google Maps or anything.
Too bad.
So I think they were just stuff of legend. I mean, but it was pretty well documented. Like I said, multiple newspapers all were doing stories on it.
Dang.
And that's the legend, man. 13 deaths, all from alcohol poisoning.
None from a burning city. The Irish are crazy.
Connor?
That's insane.
You want to guide us home? It seems like you've been bringing up the anchor almost every time recently.
Well, I'll try my best to do that.
I know, you're a strong finisher.
I appreciate it. I'll see what I can do here. Well, so you guys have been talking about specific people or incidents relating to guides or different skews, and I love hearing these different stories, and I feel kind of bad because every week I come in with a take on the word that is very then rooted to the word itself. Not a lot of abstract to it, but it is.
That's good. I mean, sometimes.
Keeps you pretty rooted in it, though. My topic or focus is spiritual guides, or another kind of term for that is guardian angel, and I'll kind of expand on that a little bit. The definition in the dictionary of a guide is a person who advises or shows the way to others, helps to form opinions, make decisions and calculations and stuff like that. So it doesn't literally have to be a physical person telling you what to do. It's more than your subconscious, but it is kind of like a Jiminy Cricket kind of,
Can you see them?
Well, so that's the thing, is people will say, you can kind of not hallucinate, but like, oh, I feel the presence of my spiritual guider.
Yeah.
My spiritual guide here with me.
I know some people that feel like they've met their guardian angels.
Yeah, and so it's not necessarily like my mother passed away, I feel her with me. It's like I feel like there's a stronger presence, a being kind of helping me. So that's kind of a loose definition of it. Certain articles will kind of expand that it's like a tiny voice in your head. It's a little wisdom helping you kind of
your mind guide.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So whether you think of it as spiritual guide in the religious sense or just spiritual guide in your body, your spirit, it's pretty loose, and that's why a lot of people. That's why it's not very like controversial. Like it's not a religious thing, you know.
Yeah. How much weight would you guys put in like a gut feeling? Like, if you're like, let's say you don't have a whole lot of information, you're just kind of heading into a situation, but just something about it is nagging you, but you have no factual evidence. How willing are you to back out?
What kind of situation? How much nagging?
Yeah.
Because that's really a big.
Well,
big
you
kind of
haven't
question.
ever been in that situation where just something's screaming at you, it's not right, but you have no real reason. It's just like, I don't know, you're walking somewhere at night with your buddies and you head down a dark street and you just don't get a good feeling. Like, how willing are you to say, guys, let's turn around? I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you trust that inside?
I mean, I don't know if I would say I don't trust it, but I don't know if I'd say anything.
Yeah.
You kind of
I
keep it
would
in the
be
back.
on high alert.
You keep it in the back of your mind.
I would be on high alert.
I just, yeah.
Wait till I saw something. The minute I saw something, I'd say, all right, we're going.
Dip.
But, like, I probably wouldn't alert or bail on everyone else because, it is just a feeling and you never know what's going to happen until it does.
Yeah, I agree. I've always been more type to base it purely on the facts, but there's been some things like within, I'd say like a couple different strong things over the past couple years that make me trust more in the gut feeling.
Yeah.
I've had some people just tell me like, I really don't have a good feeling about this, and I'm like, come on, I do this all the time, like this is gonna be fine. And then they've gone bad. This has happened to me like multiple times. Like one time we were just getting up to some shenanigans in an area, enrolled fucking authority figures. And they had called it out. The person mentioned it to me, and they were like, I don't know why, but tonight specifically, I have an uneasy feeling, and I think we should leave. And I told them no. Authority figures roll in, and boom. So, I don't know. I think there's something to it. I think there's something
I will
to it.
have to say.
I know someone that's done the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I will have to say there's times where, like, maybe I stop and I go do something else when I was about to go do something because I'm just like, I don't think I should do this yet. I want to do this first. And it's a completely good, like, thing that I switched because if I was going to do that previous thing, it wouldn't have turned out well for me if you kind of see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think it's just hit or miss. Sometimes you just really get that feeling where you shouldn't do it and you don't, and sometimes.
I try not to look past it anymore. I try to put a lot of faith in my gut. It comes to me in a huge collision on tests the most. Because if I'm studying and I feel like I read something like really quickly, just like one quick thing, and then it comes up on the test, and I'm like, I want to say I read it and it was this, but I really think it's this. That's when I'm having the most moral showdown. I'm like, do I trust my brain or my spiritual guide, like you're saying?
Exactly, yeah.
Better be safe than sorry.
I'm trying to value the guide. You got to. You got to listen to your spiritual guide.
Absolutely.
You got to listen to that inside voice.
And so that's exactly right, where it's not so much it's not you're right or wrong, it's just kind of, it's not a moral conscience, if that makes sense. It's just the gut feeling almost.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, a lot of people will say that, like, kind of like you're saying, things will be rough in their life, or they'll feel kind of uneasy and not sure what's going on. And whether it's through meditation or just kind of like a briefly in the moment, say there's a situation going on, when your gut instinct is to just respond with something, you take a second and, like it says in this article, tune in, start to believe. Like, you take a second, close off your mind, think about what's going on, and hopefully the spiritual guide then kind of directs you.
Counsels you almost.
Exactly, yeah, and it can even be that split. It's just kind of, okay, what am I thinking I'm going to do? What's another possibility? What else can I think about? And just, it's a little guidance and counseling, and that's exactly right.
And a lot of times, I think in a weird way, the world, either through fate or through not fate, you know, whether you believe in that, but a lot of times just either through random chance or for some maybe overall divine purpose, maybe, the world can guide you.
Yeah.
If you're at an intense crossroads or turn of events and you're just heavily debating on it and you're kind of just going through life looking for something to show you, and just like a complete stranger could say something, or even like a fortune cookie, or just something could happen and you could just kind of say, you know what, I think that's a sign, and go with it. And that's something like, I never really give much credit to stuff like that either.
That I think I do.
Really?
More than
An
gut
outside
feeling,
sign?
Yeah.
Unless it's so obvious, but like I won't put much weight on like interpreting stuff. Like the fortune cookie thing,
Yeah.
I've never cared much of that. Like horoscopes
Yeah,
and stuff.
fortune cookies I don't really care for, or horoscopes.
Yeah.
Like if something happens, if I've been thinking about something and then I just
That's
see
what I mean. I
something,
wouldn't look
like,
at those things as like serious, but like if I got a fortune cookie, I'll just kind of remember what it says and be like, all right, maybe in the back of my mind, maybe that's the spiritual guide dropping hints.
Yeah.
I say in bed and I say in bed at the end of each time I read my fortune. That's my extent of the
I
fortune
know
cookies.
people that always are doing
Oh, that's
that
funny.
shit.
I don't read my
It's funny.
horoscopes.
In bed.
It's like, the best is yet to come in bed. It's hilarious.
That was funny, like the first 3 times I heard it, and then ever since then I'm just like, alright, get it over with. Like,
You don't do it every time. You gotta keep it sporadic and
Surprising.
interesting.
I will not wrap it up, but kind of extend further into that guardian angel thing I mentioned. I personally grew up in a religious family, so I was kind of taught about guardian angels and the as I was taught, the influence that they can have in your life, what you should do with them, and how you should turn to them and stuff like that. And so I've just kind of come to realize that it's very much similar to just a general spiritual guide, where it's basically putting a figure to this voice, if that makes sense. Like you have this subconscious, this spirit helping you, and then this is a kind of a Christian religious thing that they will assign guardian angels, and they're kind of taught to be like a nurturing mother that's always there, will always help you, will always be supportive, and is in your best interest. So it's kind of an interesting spin, and we try not to get too religious here on the show, but it is kind of an interesting spin because that religious group, Christianity and just different sects within it, will teach this as kind of a specific viewpoint of that spiritual guide. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think a lot of religions have sort of that same thing too, just in different forms. They're not necessarily called guardian angels, but sort of just like otherworldly, not physical
spirit
sort of
animals,
guides.
stuff like that. Yeah. So,
I have a chilling story. You guys are not.
Yeah.
I have a close
acquaintance
that wouldn't mind me sharing this because they share it a lot with people, but they're pretty religious and they are full on board with Christianity. And they were driving alone one time through the night, and it was a girl, and she crashed the car into a ditch. And well, she didn't necessarily crash it. The car went into a ditch and it couldn't get out, and it was raining and it was muddy and she couldn't drive it out. And it like the car wasn't screwed up or anything, so it was like if she could have gotten it out, it would have been fine. But she couldn't get out of this ditch, and she was all alone. And for some reason, she couldn't. I think her phone was dead, and it was a long, long time ago. This person's older now, so they might not have been there yet. I don't know exactly, but she couldn't call. And she was just so hopeless. Like, she didn't know what to do. She couldn't push the car, and it was like pouring down rain. And she said all of a sudden, I didn't see where they came from. These two guys just were there, like in the ditch. And they helped her push the car out. And she was in the driver's seat. So she wasn't pushing. And the car came out of the ditch. And she said as soon as she got the car out of the ditch and she looked behind, they were gone. And she said that she didn't see a car pull off. She didn't see them come or go. She never got their names. And she honestly, to this day, feels that they are her guardian angels. And she said, I've never seen them since, but I've never been in a situation where I've needed them.
There you go.
So...
That's perfect.
I don't know. Kind of, I know.
How old is this woman right now? Is she like...
She's an adult.
Like,
older.
but right in the mind, you know, not a little crazy.
Yes, right in the mind. Yeah.
Huh.
So,
Well,
I mean...
That's impossible.
Well, so that's perfect in that I was going to kind of segue that not all these guardian angels are like gothic figures, medieval aged. Like, it can literally just be who you put the face of on your spiritual guide. It can be anyone.
Yeah. There was this one time I remember, and I was raised very religiously, and so I grew up a lot with that, and I had heard a lot of stories like that, just being in a church. I had to go to church about 3 times a week, like you guys know. So I hear a lot of stuff, and I was young. When I was a kid, I got lost in oceans of fun. And I didn't have communication, and that, to a kid, is big. And this is one of my, like, earliest memories. Like, I was really, really young, and I had no idea what to do. And, like, I was so young, I remember people just being, like, scary. Like, they were too tall. I wasn't, like... It was just, like, scary for me. I remember being really scared. And these 2 really good-looking lifeguard girls come up and find me, and they talk to me, and they take me to the front desk and call my mom. And I always told people they were my guardian angels.
You know who my guardian angels are? Okay. When we went to the Portugal the Maid concert.
Oh, yeah.
And
Joe got turned into
I
a
wasn't
zombie.
feeling well, so I went and sat down somewhere and just passed out. And then I woke up later, and the concert had gotten bigger, and there were people everywhere, like all over me. I woke up to some guy tripping over me. So I got up and went and sat somewhere else, and just passed out again. And then I woke up at the very
slept
end
through
of
all
this.
the band.
Yeah, the whole concert.
It was a great concert, too.
But I woke up at the end to these 2 young girls, well, young ladies, with a cup of water, and they were just like, "Hey, you look okay, so we got you some water." And then they just walked away, and they're my guardian angels.
There you go. That's awesome.
See? It doesn't matter what the
yeah.
form
They
is.
saved my life.
They're just... See, anybody who can just pop in at that moment and be that stranger to you. I mean, what's the difference between that and a guardian angel? They don't know you, you don't know them, you'll never see them again, but in that moment they were everything to you. They might as well be an angel.
Mm-hmm.
They were an angel to you. So, I don't know, I think you can get... I'm not the most religious, but I would say, like, spiritual. Just things like that, just good acts of will, just sort of just like turns of good faith.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, the dude that jumped our car last New Year's Day.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Could have been a guardian angel.
Yeah,
First person we asked helped us for 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay, so without getting too detailed, we were
Far from home?
We were a little further from home, coming back from
New Year's Eve party in the middle of buttfuck nowhere.
Yeah, just out in the middle. It literally was in the middle of nowhere. We pulled up to a gas station to refill on gas, and the car was a little older, and so turned off to refill the gas. You tried to turn it back on.
Well, so the location could not be known. We were in a location. The parents didn't necessarily know we were out partying, you know.
Yeah.
So I couldn't phone home, didn't know what to do. The car had already died at the party. We spent all morning figuring out how to jump this guy. We get it going.
Wait. As
I
I spent all morning going in and out of the house trying to jump this freezing cold car in the middle of snow and like 20-degree weather. That sucked.
Kevin took the brunt.
You were all still passed out.
This was my car.
Yeah.
So I probably should have been out there doing it, but it got started. And as I'm leaving, I said, "Boys, let's make sure we do not shut this car off." And I'm driving, and I'm going, and I say, "Oh, we're about 10 minutes out. Time for gas." Boom.
Pulled
car off.
No, it was a little further than 10 minutes. We were out further.
We were far from home though.
We were out.
Long enough that I should have remembered.
Yeah, well, and you turned it off. I remember because I was sitting back there because I was like, I'm gonna make sure he doesn't turn this off. But you seemed like you knew what you were doing. I wasn't gonna say anything.
No.
And you go, key, shit.
Before it's even had the ignition, the twist of the wrist, and I knew what I would done. So a guy pulls up and
after we've been sitting there for a few minutes.
The battery. I mean, I've since gotten a new battery, but that battery was a POS, man. So it took this guy even a couple tries, and he started to seem like he was like not kind of into it. And I thought he was about to ditch, and he'd just been like, "All right, well, sorry, I tried," and I offered to pay him, and he didn't take it, and it got started up.
I think it was the guardian angel.
It's our guardian boy,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't shut it off after that. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Hey, we made it home all in one piece. Good weekend of events.
Yeah.
It was a good weekend. Well, any more spirituality?
I mean, I think that covers most of what I had. I like that we extended past just... Spiritual guide is such a kind of broad thought because, like I said, it can be taken religiously, it can be taken through horoscopes and however you want to see it, but ultimately it is just kind of the guidance and help that you see in your life, however you envision it, whether you see your spiritual guide as a major factor, someone you consult on every big decision, or if it's someone that's there just like you were saying, like, I just got a little gut feeling that maybe this isn't right, or maybe I should try this because I'm just getting a little push from my spiritual feeling. Yeah. So.
And one thing I don't want to have people get the wrong idea about, like, religion.
Don't bash
talks of religion, they're good guides.
We like to have open conversation and discuss all aspects.
I think there's a lot of good stuff to be taken, but the extent to which it's taken sometimes is too much.
Yeah.
But it is a good guide, and stuff like the holy texts, like through any religion, I think they're all worth reading and studying because they're great guides on life and general practices.
Yeah.
And so that in itself, I mean, we have these guides sitting around, but maybe they're taken a little bit too literally.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that, like, if it's a religious text, I'm certainly not well educated in all of them, but I would like to think that they're all right in their own way for the people that want to believe them, and they just have different viewpoints.
Yeah.
So people shouldn't bash someone's book of beliefs just because it's not the same as theirs. Yeah? Yeah.
And just everything's full of good lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We want to get the new word for next week.
Kevin, what we got?
All right. New word for next week is
Rule.
R-U-L-E?
R-U-L-E.
Rule.
I have a feeling next week's gonna rule.
I got a feeling I'm about to rule next week.
We're gonna have to put a new rule in place about all these puns. This is.
Yeah, okay. All right, boys.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week. It's gonna rule.
Peace.